like you to imagine that you come home from doing groceries in an unknown kitchen. You look around at the lower cupboards and you wonder where the fridge is. After opening 2 or 3 cupboards, you think, here it is, and you open it. Then you see it's full of grapes and milk. Okay, let's see what's in my bag. And you take your stuff out, put it in the fridge, and it's also milk and grapes. That's strange. You wonder how that can happen. And you go and sit down. And then your daughter comes in, and she says, "Hey, how are you doing? Do you want to have a drink?" And she runs to this fridge, and she opens it, and she says, "Did you buy grapes and milk again?" Okay, how would you feel if this would happen to you? I think you will feel strange, and you will wonder how this came. I think you will be frustrated and annoyed. And I think that people with dementia have this every day. Imagine how you would feel, what you would think. So, there was a coalition of knowledge institutions, care institutions and business that decided to develop a dementia simulator. A simulator in which you experience what it is to have dementia. So healthy people, caregivers and care professionals can feel what happens to people with dementia. And if you can feel, immerse and empathize with people with dementia, you can probably also take care of them better. So that makes the relationship better, that gives less burden to the people who have to take care. And in the end, people with dementia can stay home longer. So I think this was a really great initiative that they took. But how to develop the content of a dementia simulator? That's where my expertise came in. So to find the authentic stories from the field with people with dementia and their partners, but also with care professionals, you need to have a process. So I decided to harvest these stories with a co-design process. And how did I do that? Because of the fact that people with dementia have a problem in language most of the times, it was the best way, I thought, to use visual stimuli. So I showed them some pictures with emotions and asked them if they recognized one of these pictures and how they feel and what was the story behind. And this triggered a lot of stories. And after that, I also asked them to draw into these maps. For example, what you see here is that the person with dementia has a vertical line through his body. And to the side of his wife, he's very silent and he doesn't say a lot. And that makes her sad. And she misses his warmth. And on the other side, towards the rest of the world, at parties and with family, he's very overexcited and extrovert and loud. So it's a big difference how her partner is behaving in different situations. So this was one of the stories that came up with a kind of an emotional effect. But another thing that happened with these two people was that this woman had problems with her knees. You see the 2 crosses in her knees. And she was not allowed to ride a bicycle anymore. While people with dementia are not allowed to drive a car. So if they would go out together, they were always forced to go by car, driven by the woman, and so this guy with dementia had no control at all anymore. So some really nice things came out, and I kind of repeated this with some other people or some other couples with dementia, and a lot of nice stories came out that we could use to build the script and the content of the dementia simulator. Okay, but then we kind of gathered all this content. But how to make sure that die-hard programmers or architects or interaction designers, which all work in a development team, also could feel what I felt when I was doing this design research with the people. I decided that I had to not only make a written report, but that I had to design a handover workshop. So what I did is I started in the morning with a relating session, so that the development team and the die-hard programmers really could relate to the situations at stake. So one of the questions I asked was, when do you feel ignored? And one of the die-hard programmers said to me, well, when I'm at a party and people start to speak English to me because I'm an expat, I have a lot of fun. But after a few drinks, then all these Dutch people, they start to talk Dutch again, and I'm all alone. So he said, this is something, or this feeling, I can capture, and I can use when I have to make a translation to this dementia simulator. And I made a lot of these kind of relating questions together with them. Afterwards, we did some acting out exercises, and at the end of the day, we started doing a brainstorm together. And that really directly led to small prototypes that later on were really used into the dementia simulator. So it was also a very efficient process. And I think that only in this way, by really connecting to the people you're designing for, and to harvest the stories, and to really involve the development team into these stories, you can design and develop a serious game or a simulator like this. So what we need is harvest sessions, handover sessions, and then we get to a real-life dementia simulator. But how does it look like? Well, from the outside, it's a container. It can be placed onto a truck, and it can drive throughout the country to care homes or other places where people can visit the dementia simulator. When you go in, there's a living kitchen, and then you experience a bit of the story like I just told you about the fridge and the groceries, and you also see a daughter coming in and confronting you with the situation. So, what would you think by now? Would you think that the daughter, with all this knowledge from the dementia simulator, would say something different to her parent? That's what it is.